Today we have inner child artist Audra, and Audra is does some pretty amazing stuff. She's on TikTok, she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, but she made the crown she's wearing today. She makes some cool stuff and she does some cool stuff. So, Audra, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Audra Rose. That's what I've decided I want to be known by in the spiritual community. Not that I don't like my last name, but I feel like honoring our own choices is also a way to honor ourselves and express self love. And that's something that you're aware I'm currently learning. So, whoever's watching this, make sure you keep working on that because you are worthy.
Exactly.
And I've always just had a lot of inner child energy, and I'm interested in helping people like find those abilities when you first awaken and you know everything, you're like, all this stuff is happening and people think they're going crazy. And I'm like, you're not crazy. Like, you're gifted. Like, you're super awesome. And I feel that mentality changing, and I just really want to support that. So we can all be provided for.
I think
It's
that's
just a lot of
amazing.
happening.
Right. And I love that like you do products and I know that you do some light language healing. Like what other kind of sessions do you offer? Because I think that people need to at home know what you offer, I guess, in regards to sessions and healings, because I know it's plentiful. So I would like you to pitch yourself, please, Audra.
Thank you. I probably need to do some editing. Right now, I have, your basic 30-minute hour readings. I also have,
They're not very basic, by the way, guys.
yeah,
They're
there,
very intense healing sessions.
yes. But what you would think of as a typical, your typical spread. And then I get messages with the cards because they keep telling me I don't need the cards, but
No.
I enjoy playing with beautiful art that's being created. And I know that sometimes these trigger downloads for me. I'm drawn to certain decks sometimes for people. There's messages in that art of that particular deck. That artwork
Yeah.
had a message. And I also offer what I call soul healing sessions, which is an hour of time. And you can talk about anything you want. If you want me to intuitively do a short reading for you on this and see where you'd like to go after that, that's fine. If you just want to come in and vent about your shit boss at work, that's fine. Like, it's fine. I also have what I call quantum healing sessions,
Ooh.
where this is where I have been working with Celestite, and my intentions are to tap into your specific field, like your guides, your energy. And generally, I channel light language, and it's usually some healing and some activations because generally, what comes up is I'll start seeing stuff. And a lot of times the other person's already aware. One person, I was seeing a life that they knew they had as a fairy. And once I was telling her what I was seeing, what had happened, she was connecting the dots to a repeating pattern of
Mm.
experiences and an experience she had had in this life that was very similar to that life. And so that can help trigger that healing and that transformative energy. And I love that I can help do that for people.
Well, and isn't that just the thing too, right? Is until you're aware of it, you don't even know, you may not even know that's the section you have to heal. And then you go into
Right.
a reading or a past life regression or interactive past life healing or there's so many like meditations, and then all of a sudden you have this memory or you have this feeling or intuition and you connect it to what you're in now and you kind of go, well, shit, right? That awareness that brings it together. And that's why sometimes, guys, like at home, those of you investing in yourself, is very important because we can get short readings. Yes, validation, groany dog. But yes, we could get readings on, anywhere really nowadays. But unless you're ready to heal, unless you are open and ready to accept those messages, it's not going to do anything for you because you are the key, right? us as practitioners can only show you the door. Right? You have to walk through it. But I love your
You to
light
the
language.
water, but we can't make you drink it.
Right? It's so true. Can you tell me a little bit about your crown because I love it and what it's made out of?
This is, I will take it off so everybody can see. It is just a headband, like a regular, I got a pack of three from at Walmart, I think, for like $6. And I used leather. This one is
Ooh.
actually buffalo hide to sew on the antlers after I cut the bottoms so that I lined them up and then I cut them. And when I sewed them on, I created these pieces and it's stuck in here under the leather between the antler and this so that that's how it
Not going
stays.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just cut the flowers. Some of these I pulled them all apart, dismantled them, and re put them on just a piece of wire, like wrapping wire, so I could tuck them down into the leather.
See, I'm an artist, so I love this kind of stuff. It is absolutely gorgeous. And that was one of the things that attracted me to you. Her title on TikTok is Inner Child Artist, right? And you do quite a bit of spiritual artwork. Did you happen to bring your cards along today?
And yes, they are right here.
Yay. So, guys, I wanted her to bring her cards on today because what Audra has done with all of these abilities that she has, not only just internally learning and healing and going forward, right? But that's okay. I got one too. And then
Hey,
she's intuitively, created this deck, this oracle deck. I mean, it's not in print just yet. Pre-sales are available, but she's created this deck, and I think it is the coolest, most interesting thing because it has cards that not a lot of decks would have. Like, it has cards that, like, there would be an entire deck on this card, right? And so to have an entire deck of really strong, powerful cards like that, um, when you're using that for someone else, it's going to be quite the tool because it's going to really help you hone in on exactly what it is in that client or person that you're reading for. If you intuitively didn't see it or feel it yourself, boom, it's going to be like this. But do you have like a favorite card?
oh, it's so hard to pick. Okay, I'm getting a cool down. And I hate to admit this, but honestly, I think one of my favorite cards is, well, first, I love the devil card.
Ooh.
Lucifer helps me channel that artwork. I also really like the divine balance,
Oh, that's pretty.
right? Um, this one's fun because that was a stencil. Okay, so I
Oh,
drew the stencil, and those are actual feathers. I put real feathers on a page around the stencil, then took a picture and then edited the picture to get this.
it's perfect. It's beautiful.
Yes, all of this was really and super intuitively guided. That one was very intuitively guided. I really like the void card. This one, this is my favorite. The
Affirmation of divinity.
affirmation,
And it's a two. One of my favorite numbers. Well,
because balance.
balance.
This was fun. So I painted this tree with this, and I meant to paint worms, but they didn't show up well. And so I thought, ooh, it's the inner child deck. Gummy worms would be perfect. So I painted it. I glued moss. There's actual moss on here. Then I glued on the flowers, and then I just laid gummy worms on it and took the picture.
It's awesome. And
Like,
that's the thing, right? It's like when it's intuitive art, right? It always turns out the best. So I think Audra would probably agree with me when you were talking artists and spiritual artists, because we're probably super hard on ourselves more so than most people. But when you're doing any type of creativity, so whether that be writing, whether that be, arting, whether that be creating like a craft or a product or whatever, if you are creating and you're in those creative juices, let them flow. Don't be worried about, is this something someone will buy? What am I going to charge for it? Let it flow, figure all that stuff out after. Because when you get the piece of work done and completed and in front of you, all the rest of that will come later.
100%. Because when I started this day, I was just getting like, I would be intuitively guided to certain colors. Like this one, this artwork looks nothing like this card. Literally, it's a white piece of paper and like some brown and gold pigment powder. And then I was intuitively guided to draw this stuff on there, take the picture, edit it like this, and make it for the crown chakra.
And it's really beautiful.
Like,
Just
yeah,
going with the flow, right? Like, so Audra, how did you discover that you had these abilities? Like, that's one of the things that I kind of always ask on this show, right? Is how did you start? Because I think everybody has a different origin story, right?
I think it's really amazing because when I think about it, like when I was little, I remember I told you about this. So for the people who are watching, my dad, as a lot of my followers know, was transgender. So my dad is known as she. Um, she would go to the store and she always called it the getting place. I don't know if that was actually what it was called. And she would come back with a box of just like random stuff, like crazy straws and pipe cleaners and construction paper and like hair clips and just wrapping wire and just different stuff. And I just would make things out of it, like functional art made from stuff that somebody thought was junk.
Yeah.
And that's really my passion. Like I love upcycling things in an artistic way. And I also love creating new art. But when you can create new art and repurpose something that's old that people are thinking is junk and make it into art, I'm like, it just makes me so happy. Like
And you
I'm
know
like,
what? I
I
got
want
like
to
I
find
don't mean to
a way to
interrupt.
work with plastic.
Yeah.
That's my goal, to find a way to work with plastic and to recycle it into something that is beautiful and useful and has a purpose.
So it's no
So it's
longer
not
in a
just
landfill.
poisoning the planet, right? Yes.
Yes, I'm with you there. And it was so interesting what you said because when you were talking and you were saying, um, taking something that is tarnished or old or someone else's junk and repurposing it and turning it into something beautiful, I immediately thought of transmuting energy, like that's where I immediately took that statement and went, that's what you do with people.
Yes. I think the light language helps me do a lot of that because literally people are like, I want to learn that. I'm like, you can't learn it. And maybe someone can, but in my experience, it just comes. I just connect with the earth and like I open up, my upper chakra, connect with source, and it just comes out. Sometimes I have a hard time getting it out because the way that it's done isn't the way I normally speak, or one of the first languages that I remember channeling as a child. I remember speaking these as a child, and some of the ones that are now coming in, I've not heard before, so I have a hard time sometimes vocalizing those.
Well, and that's like all practice, I guess, and growth. And light language is not something that I'm super familiar with. Um, so when we're talking light language, if you could explain it to the viewers at home as to what it is, where it comes from, because there's some people that will be watching this, they'll be like, light language, what the hell is that?
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody knows, you've heard like Pentecostal churches and like their worship is absolutely beautiful and they speak in tongues and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And I think it's because they're calling it speaking in tongues, referencing the Tower of Babel. But they're speaking light language. They're connecting with source and their intentions are we're channeling this holy language that we're calling, you know, that and I'm having a brain fart. But
Light language, yeah.
yeah, they call it something else. But I'm like, essentially,
Oh,
it's light language because light language is just energy channeled through the throat portal from whatever dimension that energy is coming from. So if I want to channel dragon language, that language is coming through from the reality, the dimension in which the dragons exist. And as we bring that vibration into our physical existence with our throat portal, and we're speaking our truth and bringing their truth in and speaking this very high vibrational truth, it raises our vibration. It pulls us towards them like a magnet. And that's why I love activating light language in people, because everybody should be doing it.
I literally can feel like your excitement, and I love when you get on a channeling rant because it is very educational for those of us that are on the other side of it. Now, I with you, I everybody you should know I met Audra on TikTok. I found her on TikTok is what I should say, and through a mutual Facebook group that we were in. And I was immediately drawn to her with her energy, firstly, just as a human being in general, but also her and I actually have a lot in common. And we read very similarly, where if you've ever received a reading from me and you're looking to try Audra out, I'm going to put her link tree and all her stuff in the description box below so you can book with her. But if you ever got a reading with me and you liked it, go to Audra, because Audra reads like me. It's a no bullshit. This is the way it is. This is the way it's straight shooter. There's no fluff or ego or anything that gets in the way. It's a straight message to you. And that's what I respect and love about Audra, and why I wanted her to come on this show. Is true, because when sometimes when we're reading people, right, and that's the thing, it's like we're reading energy, and when we are going through this process and we're opening ourselves up to this person or client or collective or whichever, there's an equal energy exchange, right? There's like the first rule of alchemy, so you're going to be exchanging energy with that person regardless, um even in a conversation. And of spirits actually just giving me the ask Audra how she clears. So I'm gonna just cut off my thought that I was gonna do and tell you what spirit wants to know, which is how do you clear at the end of sessions and when you have been dealing with lots of peopling?
They're telling me I need to do it more, because the way mine came in, I am completely self taught. I have no classes, no courses, no certifications. I have not taken any classes. 100% intuitively self taught.
You know,
And I feel like everybody should build their own practice. And when we offer these like mentoring sessions, because I do offer a mentorship, it's
right?
not so I can teach you my practice, it's so that I can guide you to find yours. If some of the things I do resonate with you, cool, awesome, do them. They're
Yeah,
fun. I love it. I'm not going to tell you you can't do it because I do it, or that you have to do it because I do it. If it resonates, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Simple.
yeah.
Everybody's different. So for the clearing, I was on someone else's soul film in the soul film. They're live, Ricky, and he was like, "Audrey, you have a dragon. It's black and pink." And I was like, "Ooh." And someone else in the group, Ashley, hey, if you see this, was knitting me a little stuffed animal. And I wanted it to be a surprise. But when I finally met her, it was a black and pink and yellow dragon.
Oh, wow.
And then fast forward about a month, I'm meditating and I meet this big purple or black dragon with like a purple mask. And then they tell me that that's the adult version of the stuffed animal version that I have. Because the black is the feminine, the divine feminine, that very powerful energy. And the pink is for self love. And the yellow is to make sure that you stand in your power from that place of self love. And it needed that energy to evolve into a dragon of the of the violet flame. I don't know
See, and
why
I
that
love
said
that.
purple flame.
But
Violet
the
purple.
violet flame, yes, yes.
So I
Let's
just
talk about the
have her
violet
like,
flame.
yeah, I have her just like burn everything away. And I've been working on really surrendering when I ground and letting Gaia take a lot of it. Because I'm
Yes.
like, yeah, don't need it. I'll just lay outside in the sun and go, have your dessert. I'm good.
Well, and it's so true because the violet flame, that's also something to bring up. The violet flame, guys, if you at home watching, if you want to have more information on the violet flame or you'd like me to do a show on Violet Flame, comment below and let me know. But when we're talking the Violet Flame, and there's actually like angels attached to the Violet Flame, there's a whole history, lore, you can call it whatever you want. But for me, the Violet Flame, whenever I think about that, or I am drawn to that, and it could be in a deck, it could be like I could see it like in a comic book, like it comes to me in the weirdest ways because I don't have any attachment to the color purple. I never have, or violet. It's never been my favorite anything. And I'm a
Hmm.
Pisces. And so my birthstone is amethyst. And I've never really had a whole lot of connection. And then when I went through, right, my spiritual awakening, my dark night of the soul, like 7, 8 years ago, and I reconnected to amethyst, and I was like it literally was like, this is you, this is your life, this is what you like, dude, wake up, right?
That
And
sounds like me connecting with mine. I also used to very much dislike my birthstone because I was viewing it in the wrong way. I
okay,
was viewing
explain.
it as crystallized pee of someone who was really dehydrated. And now I'm like, oh, it's a crystallized ray of sunshine. I love it. It's so beautiful.
What's your birthstone?
Um,
Yellow.
yes,
Must be yellow.
topaz, the topaz
Okay.
or citrine.
Or
They use
citrine.
either.
Citrine is nice though. I like citrine. That's a great abundance stone. Citrine, I mean, if
Yeah.
you are looking for a little
I
extra cash in your
prefer,
pocket.
I do prefer the citrine over the topaz.
Yeah, and I was like, I actually have a citrine I'm gonna send to you, Audra, because I feel like it's a good one to stick in your pocket for additional abundance. It's always it's
Ooh,
helped me, and I don't feel the pull to use it anymore, so I'll definitely pass it along. So
yeah.
um now like when you were a kid and you did a lot of these things intuitively, right? Because a lot of the people that I've had on the show so far ascended at a much later time in their life, right? I think the thing that you and I have in common is that we've had these abilities since we were very, very, very little. And I think that our parents or the adults in our life, because we can't specify it to one, but the adults in our life as a general maybe didn't really understand
Oh
what,
yeah, no. They had no
right?
idea.
So, what are some of the ways that, like, coming from that experience and doing inner child healing now as as an adult, what are some of the ways that people at home can look back themselves, like in their own practice, to help with their inner child and their inner child healing to understand what that is, what is inner child healing, and how does it help you?
Okay, so there could be many traumatic events. I do feel drawn to open up about my own experience.
Sure.
So, like, trigger warning.
Okay.
Um, I was molested when I was 4. And for some reason, that's one of the things that I remember. I don't have many memories because I've been told I only remember the things that actually influence who I am
Hmm.
as a person. And so the way I always, I never really knew anything until I got to be an adult. And, my dad also had multiple personality disorder. Lots of abuse, lots of generational trauma healing for me.
Yeah.
And one of the other, he wasn't an alter, he was a helper sent by God. And I know this because he could pull out any personality he wanted. You're going to want a separate show for this. Anyways, because he told me she was going to die, basically, and I forgot until 2 weeks after the funeral when I had a brownie. And then I remembered that I already knew. He told me.
Wow.
So he also told me that my dad killed the 16-year-old boy that molested me when I was 4.
Wow.
And when I tapped in with spirit, I got, yeah, he wouldn't lie to you. And so I did a meditation and I went back and I spoke to the higher self of the boy who hurt me. I forgave him and asked him for forgiveness for what Colleen did. I brought, that was what my dad went by. I brought her in and then had them forgive each other. But it was really, they were just like, no, we're good. We did it for you. You needed this experience to learn. We're not saying it's okay because it's not okay, but
That's
your
right.
soul specifically needed this experience to cement a certain part of you within yourself. And what I've been getting is I've been doing more healing with that is that we need, oh, I'm in big resistance to saying this. Sexuality needs to be okay.
Yeah. I know
It
what you
needs
mean by
to be
that.
spoken about. Like my 13-year-old doesn't even want to see me kiss my husband. I'm like, it's just a kiss. But I remember feeling that way when I was that age. And I'm like, if it was more normal and less taboo, the kids wouldn't be freaked out and then going behind our backs and having sex when they're way too young.
No, it's so true. It needs to be more open. It needs to be more talked about. It's something that needs to be more available in conversation and not taboo. And I agree with you 100% on that. I have a 12-year-old that doesn't like me seeing me kiss my partner, right? And I'm like, why? Oh, it's gross. No, it's not. It's a showing of love and appreciation and caring. And when it's done in a way with love in the back of it, it's a completely different experience, right? And to be open and talk about it more so, not just in the negative lights, right, which need to be more open and more talked about, but
Yeah.
also the positives. Because if we talk about the positives all the time, consistently, constantly, everywhere, then the little kids that have had a negative, okay, are going to feel a lot more open. Sorry, you got me fired up. Going to be a lot more open to be able to come to their adult or to a safe adult and have that conversation, because it is more openly talked about in a positive sense. They're going to recognize that what happened to them was not a positive sense. Instead of, if you know nothing, then how do you know the difference?
Exactly. Exactly. When I was 4, I didn't have any idea I wasn't supposed to be in there letting him play with my kitty.
Yep.
I had no idea. And I was 4. Honestly, I think I remember that kind of feels nice. But I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't aware that he should not have been doing that.
Yep.
He knew better, but I didn't. I was only 4.
That's right. And it's the adults in the responsibility for the adults in the room, you know? And that's the thing. I mean, I have friends. I'm very blessed that I never went through that experience, and I am sorry, Audra, that you had that experience. And I'm glad that you are in a space now to be able to be open and talk about it, share it with others to help them along their path and their journey. Because if you've ever had said experience, and you're looking to someone to reach out to, I am sure Audra's inbox is open, my inbox is open. There are not just us to speak to about it, to be able to process through those emotions and that trauma, but when you are able to openly speak about it, like, obviously, Audra, you've done a lot of healing in regards to this. And when you're able to openly speak about it and talk about it, yes, it makes other people feel uncomfortable. But you know what? Too fucking bad. Because at the end of the day, your uncomfortability is what opened the door for that predator in the first place. So I'm all about being loud and proud, because I have friends close to me and people that are close to me that have also dealt with that situation. And I've seen firsthand what it does. And I am so happy for you that you're now in this place. I thank you so much for sharing that, because I am sure you helped a shit ton of people today. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
And I also want to find a way to really support people in the LGBTQ community. Not trying to offend anyone. I just can't keep up with all the stuff because I'm not in it anymore. I happen to fall in love with a man. I like both genders. Pretty sure I'm what they call pan. It's more about how you interact with me and how your energy makes me feel than what you look like.
yeah,
Because when I was younger, I totally fell in love with a guy that I had zero interest in because my friend was like, you should really give him a chance. He's really nice. You should really give him a chance. And I was all stuck on the looks because I was like 22 and hot as hell. So, and I gave him a chance and fell head over heels in love. And then somebody told him I was cheating on him and he broke up with me. And then I got pregnant with my oldest son with my rebound.
Oh my. So like
Yeah.
that's the thing, guys. Like, that's the thing. That's why I wanted to do this show. It's exactly for this. Is I have also gone through shitty situations like that, and that's the thing is that when you are at home, when you're looking at a spiritual healer, okay, or you're following someone on a social media or whichever, and you know, we are not on pedestals. We are just like you. We have gone through all the crap, the shitty shit in our childhood and, you know, our teenagedom. And, you know, if you are dealing with a healer, you're watching a healer that's open about that type of stuff and that has been through those traumatic experiences and learned from firsthand experience, like in my personal humble opinion, that is the healer for you. That is the one that you want to go to, is somebody that has lived it and had to come out of it to get to this point in their life, you know? And really, it takes a village. There's supports with Facebook, there's supports with like TikTok, there's supports all over the place, and usually in your local space as well. Um, you know, go to your local metaphysical store or what have you, right? But now, like on the in the closing, Audra, you know, like I wanted to mention, um, you know, so Audra deals with a lot of what's the word I'm looking for now? I'm having a brain fart, which is funny. But because I keep thinking something else and it's totally not what I wanted to say. But I like Audra, what she does is helps you to pull out what it is that is standing in your way. I think that's probably like the best way to just baseline it is if you go to Audra, she's going to be able to show you the path forward. So if you're feeling floundery right now and you're doing one of these, give her a contact below, give her a follow below, because she's able to kind of like stick it all together in a straight line for you a little bit, and give you, you know, an idea or trigger something or activate something. She's also an activator. And I have the greatest respect for you, Audra. Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you so much for coming on today. And also, please, Audra, send me the link to your pre-sales so that
Yeah.
I
It's
can.
actually in my TikTok bio as well.
Perfect. Perfect. So, guys at home, if you want a copy of her deck, okay, there will be a link for pre-sales. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit. It's kind of like a Kickstarter situation. So you are gonna have to wait a little bit. But, and all of the lights on the one side of the wall just flickered. I'm not sure if the camera picked that up or not, but that's kind of funny. So that was like validation that I got some Audra's deities in my friggin' office right now, and I'm gonna have to clear some stuff after this interview. But yes, so if you want to also learn how to work with different deities, go to Audra. If you want to, oh, there's just so much stuff that she does. But yes, so guys, we are on the end of our show. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. Thank you for coming on. I love you so much.
Thank you.
And we're gonna take
For
a deep breath.
jazz hands.
Mhm. All
It's
right,
good way.
guys, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to close it off. And thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to subscribe to all of Audra's stuff below in the comments. And we will see you next week. And deep breath. Thank you for joining us on this journey.